Hi, welcome to the Sky Studio tutorial series. Sky Studio brings extensive customization without sacrificing performance, so you can build beautiful and engaging content. Today we're going to talk about how to customize the rain in your scene. To get started, let's all make sure we're looking at the same scene. Sky Studio ships with a basic starter scene inside of Funly Sky Studio Tutorials Basic Starter. I'm going to go ahead and just duplicate that so I don't modify the original. And now let's go ahead and set up a rainy scene so we have something to talk about. Go to Window, Sky Studio, Set Up Sky. And I'm going to load the new preset called Storm Heavy Rain. Click Create Sky, and that should install into your scene. So we can close this. And now in our scene, you'll notice we have a Sky System controller. And as usual, then we have these three new features enabled. We have rain surface splashes, and lightning. Let's go ahead and just turn it on, and we can start. I'll start talking about it and explain what everything is. So you'll notice down here at the bottom, we have a nice rainy scene, and then we have ground splashes that are actually mapped to things in your scene. There's lightning, as you just heard. And I'm going to go ahead and turn that off so you can actually hear me. And I'll actually just disable the lightning entirely for now. And one of the things people often ask a lot about is, what is the performance like for Sky Studio? There's a lot going on in this scene. Just know a lot has been done to make this extremely performant, and it even runs on mobile devices. For example, if you look at your stats window, you'll notice this entire scene right now with the dynamic sky, the rain, the ground splashes, and with the lightning was only 15 draw calls. So that's pretty great. Let's go ahead and I'll explain what the rain is. So the rain is the vertical effect you're seeing. That's the rain downfall from top to bottom. For example, if I disable it, you'll notice it goes away. And then now we just have ground splashes on the floor. Then likewise, the surface splashes, if I turn that off, you'll notice they disappear. One more thing I'm just going to show you is also you can look, if you look up and down the rain, it stays in place. You can look down towards the ground, there's actually splashes. And if you move around in the scene, the rain and everything will follow you, the ground splashes, and everything is perfectly mapped onto your environment. So now that we've taken a look at that, let's dive into the actual controls. And I'm going to disable the rain sound effects because they're very distracting. There we go. And let's just go through the options real quick. So we have the rain sound. You can do a custom rain sound if you like by going into the Sky System controller, weather, and you'll notice that there is right here something called rain downfall. There's an audio source on here, and we ship with a default rain sound effect, and it's just being played back in a loop. Feel free to go ahead and swap that out with your own. It'll be perfectly compatible with the rest of Sky Studio. You can control the volume, the rain near texture. So you'll notice there's references to the near textures other than the far textures. And so the way this effect works for the rain downfall that's in front of you is we basically animate two different textures that have just a static set of raindrops on them, and we animate them downwards with a little bit of jitter, and that's how we create this effect of rain. And it's extremely performant by doing it in such a way. And so we ship with a texture for the near, and I'm going to go ahead and hide the far texture just to make it easy to understand what we're adjusting here. You can adjust the tiling. As you go down, the rain will get bigger. Then as you go up higher, it's going to tile it out more, and it's going to make it more like fine, smaller rain, more like distant or misty. So because this is the near texture, you usually want it to be a little bit more predominant. So something like that looks good. The visibility is how much, it's how transparent the rain is. So if you bring it down, you notice the rain disappears all the way. And we can bring it all the way back up, and now it's completely visible. The rain texture is just an additive texture. So you can always feel free to create your own rain textures as well. That's kind of the whole point of Sky Studio. It is the art customizable dynamic sky system. So you could swap all of these effects with your own. So then the rain near speed, this is the speed at which that texture is being animated in the scene. So right now we have a very fast-paced rain that typically looks better, but you could actually bring it down and you could have a slower looking rain depending on your effect. If you're doing like a stylized cartoon or low polish game, there are good use cases for having lower speed effects because they look great. They draw more visual attention and people can really pay attention to them. So now we have the far texture. These are the exact same settings as the near texture had, except the texture that we're using here is just a little bit different. It just looks a little bit more like small, more finer rain. So I'm going to hide this one, and we'll show the far texture now. And you'll notice it's a little bit more of a misty texture. And we've already discussed all these controls, so I'm just going to go ahead and put these back, and now you can see how these two sets of textures work together. And you can control the color. I'm going to bring the visibility up actually so you can see it. But right now it's white rain, but there's no reason you couldn't come in here and make the rain green. If for some reason you're doing like a toxic wasteland environment or something like that, or red, or really just whatever you want. I'm going to put it back to white. And then you can also control the rain turbulence and the rain turbulence speed. So you may notice the rain kind of shifts left and right a little bit, and then there's a pace with it. So if I go up here, I can advance the speed or lower the speed at which that happens at. Then this controls how much turbulence there is. If I move it all the way to the left, you'll notice there's no longer that back and forth kind of waving motion, kind of simulating wind. It's just like a straight vertical downfall. It typically looks good to have a little bit of it in there. It makes the effect just kind of blend in a little more naturally. And that's it for the rain effects. So in the next tutorial, we're going to talk about the rain surface splashes and really dive into how you customize and configure them to look great in your scene. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you in the next video.